The FBI, NYPD, and other agencies have zeroed in on reputed members and associates of the Colombo crime family, from the gritty streets of Brooklyn to the suburban landscapes of Long Island. The Mafia families have left an indelible mark on New York City, controlling various illicit activities from gambling to drug trafficking, shaping the criminal underworld for decades. While the power of the Mafia has declined since the 1970s, the five families still operate, albeit with less dominance. Here are the five Mafia families ruling New York in 2024. Number 1. The Bonanno family. Founded in the 1890s, the Bonanno family has been at the center of organized crime in New York City. The Bonanno crime family traces its roots back to the town of Castellammare del Golfo in Sicily. The Bonanno family story begins in the late 19th century, a time when waves of Italian immigrants arrived on the shores of America in search of a better life. Among them was a young man named Salvatore Bonanno, who would go on to lay the foundation for a criminal empire that would span generations. In the 1890s, Salvatore Bonanno moved his family to New York City and began establishing dominance and control in the Castellammare community of Williamsburg, Brooklyn. While operating in Brooklyn, the Castellammare leaders were able to secure the criminal organization's future. Salvatore wasted no time in making a name for himself, establishing connections with other like-minded individuals who shared his desire for wealth and influence. Together, they formed the early roots of what would later become the Bonanno crime family. In the early years, the Bonanno family engaged in a wide range of criminal activities, from petty theft and extortion to illegal gambling and bootlegging during the Prohibition era. However, it was Joseph Bonanno, the son of Salvatore Bonanno, who would elevate the family to new heights of power. The family's rise to power was not without its challenges. In the 1930s, the Bonanno family found itself embroiled in a brutal internal conflict known as the Castellammare War. This brutal conflict erupted within the family as they vied for control and dominance. In the 1930s, a brutal conflict known as the Castellammare War erupted between two powerful factions within the Italian-American Mafia. On one side was the Sicilian-born Salvatore Maranzano, who sought to establish himself as the undisputed leader of the Mafia in the United States. On the other side was the charismatic and ambitious Joe Masseria, who had already established a strong presence in New York City. The conflict between Maranzano and Masseria came to a head in the early 1930s, when Maranzano orchestrated a series of assassinations targeting Masseria's top lieutenants. This move weakened Masseria's power base and allowed Maranzano to position himself as the new boss. However, Maranzano's reign was short-lived. Sensing a threat to his own power, Lucky Luciano, a rising star within the Mafia, orchestrated a daring plan to eliminate Maranzano and consolidate power under a new leadership structure. In September 1931, Luciano and his allies lured Maranzano to a meeting under the pretense of discussing a truce. Once there, Maranzano was brutally murdered, effectively ending the Castellammare War. With Maranzano out of the picture, Luciano and his allies established a new leadership structure for the Mafia. The power structure known as the Commission was established, consisting of the heads of the major Mafia families. This new system aimed to prevent future conflicts and promote cooperation among the families. The end of the Castellammare War marked the beginning of a new era for the Italian-American Mafia, known as the Bonanno era. Under the leadership of Joseph Bonanno, the Bonanno crime family rose to prominence and became one of the most powerful and influential Mafia families in New York City. During the Bonanno era, the family engaged in various criminal activities, including racketeering, loan sharking, money laundering, murder, drug trafficking, extortion, and illegal gambling. Their territories expanded beyond New York City, with strongholds in New Jersey, South Florida, Arizona, Las Vegas, and Northern California. Joseph Bonanno became one of the most influential Mafia bosses in the country, commanding respect and fear from his rivals. Under his leadership, the Bonanno family expanded its criminal empire, engaging in activities such as racketeering, loan sharking, money laundering, murder, drug trafficking, extortion, and illegal gambling. In the early 1960s, Joseph Bonanno made an audacious attempt to overthrow several leaders of the commission, yet his efforts ended in failure. Subsequently, Bonanno vanished from 1964 to 1966, setting off a turbulent intra-family conflict widely known as the Bonanno War. This internal strife persisted until 1968, when Bonanno, having weathered the storm, decided to retire to Arizona. In the 1970s, the family faced a new threat: infiltration by an undercover FBI agent named Joseph Pistone, also known as Donnie Brasco. Pistone, posing as a jewel thief, managed to infiltrate the Bonanno family, gaining their trust and gathering crucial evidence that would ultimately lead to their downfall. The Donnie Brasco operation exposed the inner workings of the Bonanno family, revealing their criminal activities and the identities of key members. The evidence gathered during this operation had far-reaching consequences for the family. In the wake of the Donnie Brasco operation, the Bonanno family faced a devastating blow. They were expelled from the commission, the governing body of the mafia, stripping them of their seat at the table of power. This expulsion marked a turning point for the Bonanno family. They were no longer recognized as one of the 5 families, losing their status and influence within the criminal underworld. Without the protection and support of the commission, they faced increased scrutiny from law enforcement and rival factions. The Bonanno family struggled to maintain their power and control in the face of mounting challenges, both internal and external. Conflicts and power struggles threatened to tear the Bonanno family apart as rival factions vied for dominance. Amidst this turmoil, in the 1990s, Joseph Massino emerged, seeking to restore the family's power and reputation. By the dawn of the new millennium, the Bonanno family had not only regained their seat on the commission, but had also become the most powerful family in New York. Massino, taking on the role of acting boss, led this resurgence. However, in the early 2000s, a series of convictions culminated in Massino becoming a government informant, making him the first boss of one of the 5 families to do so. As of 2022, Michael Mancuso was the official boss of the Bonanno family. On March 9, 2022, Mancuso was arrested and is under investigation for violating the terms of his supervised release by associating with members of organized crime. Despite these challenges, the Bonanno family remains active and continues to operate in various criminal activities. Number 2. The Genovese family. Also known as the West Side, the Genovese family emerged in the late 19th century, laying the foundation for one of the most powerful and enduring organized crime syndicates in American history. It all began in the 1890s, a time when the city was a melting pot of immigrants seeking a better life. The Genovese crime family surfaced, its roots tracing back to the Morello gang of East Harlem, the city's inaugural mafia family. In 1892, Sicilian immigrant Giuseppe Morello arrived in the bustling streets of New York from the village of Corleone, Italy. Soon, his half-brothers and the entire clan joined him, forming the formidable 107th Street Mob. As the years went by, the mafia family transformed into a criminal enterprise. At the helm of this burgeoning enterprise was a man who would become a legend in the underworld, Charles "Lucky" Luciano. Born Salvatore Lucania in Sicily, Luciano arrived in New York as a young boy and quickly became immersed in the world of crime. Luciano's early years were marked by petty theft and street hustling, but it was his intelligence and ambition that set him apart from the rest. He saw the potential for something greater and set out to build an organized and efficient criminal syndicate. Greater, a criminal organization that would dominate the streets of New York. Luciano began assembling a group of like-minded individuals, forming the foundation of what would become the Genovese crime family. The Genovese crime family operated with a level of organization and discipline that was unmatched. They adhered to a strict code of conduct known as omerta, emphasizing loyalty, secrecy, and non-cooperation with law enforcement. During this time, another influential figure emerged within the family, Vito Genovese, a ruthless and cunning mobster. Genovese would later become the namesake of the family. Under his leadership, the Genovese crime family reached new heights of power and influence. With Luciano and Genovese at the helm, the Genovese crime family continued to expand their criminal empire. They adapted to new ways of making money, such as mortgage fraud and illegal gambling through offshore sites. Their wealth and influence grew, solidifying their status as the most powerful mafia family in the United States. Their influence was not limited to the United States alone, as they extended their reach internationally, becoming a dominant force in the global criminal underworld. States. They had ties with other crime families across the country, allowing them to expand their reach and influence. However, their criminal empire was not without its challenges. The family faced internal power struggles and conflicts with rival mafia families, resulting in violence and bloodshed. One of the most infamous incidents was the Castellamarese War. The Genovese crime family, led by Vito Genovese, played a significant role in this power struggle. Genovese was a ruthless and ambitious mobster who sought to expand his influence within the family and the mafia as a whole. His thirst for power led to a series of violent clashes, leaving a trail of bodies in his wake. In the 1920s, a time of great social change and the era of prohibition, the Genovese crime family saw an opportunity to profit from the illegal liquor trade. They became key players in the bootlegging industry, smuggling and distributing alcohol throughout the city. Led by influential figures such as Frank Costello and Vito Genovese, the family established a vast network of speakeasies, turning prohibition into a lucrative business. Their involvement in the bootlegging industry not only increased their wealth, but also solidified their power and influence in the criminal underworld. And illegal distilleries. They controlled the flow of alcohol, ensuring their dominance in the underworld and amassing immense wealth. Frank Costello, known as the Prime Minister of the Underworld, was the mastermind behind the family's bootlegging operations. He was a charismatic and cunning figure, skilled in navigating the complex world of organized crime. The family's control over gambling operations extended to horse racing, casinos, and underground card games. They used their influence to manipulate outcomes and ensure their profits remained high. One of the most notorious figures during this era was Anthony "Tony" Bender Strollo, a high-ranking member of the Genovese crime family who played a significant role in their illegal gambling operations. Strollo was known for his ruthless nature and his ability to evade law enforcement. As the years went by, the Genovese crime family continued to adapt to the changing times. They embraced new avenues of criminality such as drug trafficking, which became a lucrative business in the latter half of the 20th century. The family diversified its operations, maintaining its influence and power in the face of evolving criminal landscapes and law enforcement efforts. The Genovese crime family's involvement in drug trafficking allowed them to amass even greater wealth and power. They controlled the distribution of illegal narcotics, establishing connections with international drug cartels and expanding their criminal empire. The Genovese crime family has also faced its fair share of internal conflicts, including power struggles and rivalries that have plagued their history, often leading to violence and bloodshed. One of the most notorious conflicts within the family was the power struggle between Vincent the Chin Gigante and Anthony Fat Tony Salerno. Gigante, known for his eccentric behavior and feigned mental illness, sought to take control of the family, leading to a violent clash with Salerno and his loyalists. Despite Gigante's death in 2005, the Genovese family remained organized and powerful. They adapted to new challenges and continued to engage in various criminal enterprises. Currently, sources indicate that Liborio Barney Bellomo is the reputed boss of the Genovese crime family. Bellomo, a high-ranking member of the family, has adeptly navigated the treacherous waters of the criminal underworld, maintaining the family's dominance in New York and beyond. The family's steadfast commitment to secrecy and loyalty has enabled them to withstand relentless law enforcement efforts, with few members turning state's evidence, a testament to their dedication to the Code of Omerta. Number 3. The Lucchese family. The Lucchese crime family, a formidable presence among the notorious 5 families reigning over organized crime in New York City, is synonymous with influence and power. The early years of the Lucchese crime family were shaped by the ambition and cunning of its founder, Gaetano "Tommy" Reina. Born in Corleone, Sicily, Reina immigrated to the United States in the early 1900s, seeking a better life. Little did anyone know that he would go on to establish one of the most notorious crime families in American history. Reina's journey began in the bustling streets of New York City, where he quickly became involved in the criminal underworld. He started small, engaging in petty crimes and establishing connections with other like-minded individuals. As Gaetano Tommy Reina gained experience and influence, he realized the potential for power and wealth within organized crime. With his sharp wit and strategic thinking, Reina quickly rose through the ranks, earning the respect and loyalty of those around him. Known for his ability to negotiate deals, settle disputes, and maintain order within his organization, Reina guided the Lucchese crime family to flourish. Under Reina's guidance, the Lucchese crime family expanded their operations beyond bootlegging, venturing into other criminal activities such as racketeering, robbery, and illegal gambling. One of the key industries controlled by the Lucchese family was the garment industry in New York City. Reina recognized the profitability in this sector and used his influence to extort money from garment manufacturers and unions through blackmail, violence, and other coercive methods. The Lucchese family ensured a steady stream of income from the garment district. Tragically, Reina's reign came to an abrupt end in 1930 when he was assassinated by members of his own family who were dissatisfied with his leadership. Following Reina's death, Tommy Gagliano emerged as the new boss of the Lucchese crime family. Gagliano, a trusted lieutenant of Reina, had the respect and support of the family's members. Under his leadership, the Lucchese family continued to grow and solidify its position in the criminal underworld. Gagliano's reign was marked by a period of relative stability and expansion. He maintained the family's control over the garment industry and further diversified their criminal activities. However, Gagliano's leadership was cut short when he passed away in 1951. His death marked a transition period for the Lucchese crime family as new leaders emerged to take the reins. One of the most influential figures in the family's history was Tommy Lucchese, a close associate of Gagliano. Possessing a strategic mind and a keen understanding of the criminal underworld, Lucchese quickly rose through the ranks, trusted advisor to Gagliano, and played a crucial role in expanding the family's operations. Under Lucchese's leadership, the Lucchese crime family reached new heights of power and influence. Lucchese had a stronghold on the garment industry in New York, controlling various crime rackets for the family. His ability to negotiate deals and forge alliances with other crime families solidified the Lucchese family's position as one of the most powerful in the American Mafia. However, the Lucchese family's rise to power was not without its share of challenges. Internal conflicts and rivalries within the organization posed constant threats to their stability. Additionally, law enforcement agencies were constantly on their trail, seeking to dismantle their criminal empire. Despite these challenges, the Lucchese crime family continued to thrive, adapting to changing times and expanding their operations. After the passing of Tommy Lucchese, the Lucchese crime family experienced a period of transition and uncertainty. Carmine Tramunti, a trusted member of the family, briefly took the reins as the boss. However, his time as the leader of the family was short-lived and marked by a major setback. Tramunti's downfall came in the form of a major heroin network that he had been secretly funding. Law enforcement agencies caught wind of the operation and launched an investigation, leading to Tramunti's arrest and subsequent conviction. With Tramunti out of the picture, Anthony Corallo, also known as Tony Ducks, emerged as the new boss of the Lucchese crime family. Corallo was a shrewd and powerful figure known for his intelligence and ability to navigate the complex world of organized crime. Under his leadership, the Lucchese family continued to thrive, expanding their criminal operations and solidifying their position within the American Mafia. Corallo's influence extended beyond the Lucchese family. He became one of the most powerful members of the Commission, the governing body that oversaw the activities of the five families. Corallo's position within the Commission gave him significant power and influence, allowing him to shape the direction of organized crime in New York City. However, Corallo's reign as the boss of the Lucchese crime family was not without its challenges. In 1986, the Mafia Commission trial sent shockwaves through the criminal underworld. The trial exposed the inner workings of the Mafia and led to the conviction of several high-ranking members, including Corallo himself. The Lucchese family's reputation as a formidable force within organized crime was tarnished, and their operations were significantly impacted by the arrests and testimonies of their members. The Mafia Commission trial marked a turning point for the Lucchese crime family and the American Mafia as a whole. It dealt a major blow to their power and influence as law enforcement agencies intensified their efforts to dismantle organized crime networks. In the late 1980s, the Lucchese family faced a period of turmoil under the leadership of Victor Amuso and Anthony Casso. Amuso, the official boss of the family, and Casso, his underboss, ordered the execution of anyone they deemed troublesome or disloyal. This reign of terror led to several family members turning informant and cooperating with law enforcement agencies. The FBI eventually captured Amuso and Casso, bringing an end to their reign of terror. Both were sentenced to life in prison, further weakening the Lucchese family's operations and influence within the criminal underworld. With Amuso and Casso out of the picture, the Lucchese family found itself in a state of disarray. Various factions within the organization vied for control, leading to internal conflicts and violence. In recent years, the Lucchese family has faced numerous indictments and arrests. Members and associates have been charged with crimes such as racketeering, assault, attempted murder, armed robbery, fraud, witness tampering, money laundering, illegal gambling, narcotics trafficking, and bribery. After the arrest of Amuso, Michael "Big Mike" DeSantis was appointed the acting boss of the Lucchese crime family of New York City. The Lucchese family's decline in power and influence is also reflected in their diminished presence in popular culture. Once a subject of fascination and intrigue in films like The Godfather and Goodfellas, the family has faded into the background, overshadowed by other crime families and criminal organizations. Number 4. The Colombo family. The Colombo crime family stands as the most recent addition among the 5 families overseeing organized crime endeavors within the American Mafia in New York City. Founded in 1928 by Joe Profaci, the Colombo family has a long and sordid history of criminal activities that have left a lasting impact on the city's underworld. During Joe Profaci's reign, the Colombo crime family engaged in a wide range of criminal activities, including bootlegging, gambling, and loan sharking. Profaci's bootlegging operations were particularly successful, allowing him to amass great wealth and power. His influence extended throughout Brooklyn, where he established his base of operations with a network of loyal soldiers and associates. However, Profaci's rule was not without its challenges. In the late 1950s, Carmine the Snake Persico led a revolt against Profaci's leadership. Dissatisfied with Profaci's rule, Gallo sought to take control of the family and expand his own influence. The power struggle between Profaci and Gallo ignited a violent conflict within the family. Gallo, a charismatic and ambitious figure with a loyal following, believed that Profaci's leadership was outdated and that he could lead the family to greater success. The revolt led by Gallo posed a significant threat to Profaci's power. The power struggle between the two factions resulted in bloodshed and further weakened the family. Despite the internal strife, Profaci managed to maintain his position as the head of the family. He used his cunning and influence to quell the rebellion and solidify his power. However, the conflict left a lasting impact on the family, setting the stage for future power struggles and internal conflicts. By the late 1950s, Profaci's rule over the Colombo crime family began to wane amidst the changing landscape of organized crime, with the rise of the Italian-American Mafia and the increasing influence of other families. Profaci faced new challenges as he struggled to adapt to changing dynamics and maintain his dominance. During this time, he encountered increasing pressure from law enforcement, who were cracking down on organized crime, scrutinizing Profaci's activities. This resulted in several indictments and legal troubles for Profaci and his associates. In late November 1961, Joe Gallo was sentenced to 7 to 14 years in prison for murder. while Preci managed to evade conviction and hold on to his position as the boss of the Colombo crime family. However, the end of Preci's reign was looming. His health began to falter in the late 1950s, creating a power vacuum within the family. In 1962, Preci succumbed to cancer, paving the way for his underboss, Joe Mocco, to assume leadership. Internal strife persisted, with factions led by Joe Gallo and loyalists to Preci engaging in a power struggle. In 1963, Joseph Bonanno of the Bonanno crime family devised a plan to eliminate rivals within the Mafia Commission, seeking Mocco's support. The plan took a dark turn when Magliocco assigned the task to hitman Joseph Colombo. However, Colombo betrayed the plot, revealing it to Lucchese and Gambino. In recognition of his loyalty, the commission granted Colombo leadership of the family, renaming it the Colombo family. At 41, Colombo became the youngest and first US-born New York mafia boss. After a stint in prison, Joe Gallo aimed to strengthen his influence. Colombo extended an olive branch with an $11,000 peace offering, but Gallo demanded $100,000, leading to Colombo's rejection and the initiation of the Second Colombo War. The conflict erupted in 1971, proving brutal and bloody. Ultimately, Colombo was shot and killed, and Carmine Persico assumed leadership of the family. Violence and intimidation intensified as both sides vied for dominance, with casualties mounting during the protracted war. Members and associates of the Colombo crime family became targets, leading to a surge in assassinations and violent confrontations. New York City's streets transformed into a battleground as rival factions clashed for control. The toll of the war was particularly devastating for the Colombo crime family, with 12 members losing their lives, leaving the family weakened and vulnerable. The violence drew intense scrutiny from law enforcement agencies, who escalated efforts to dismantle the family. In 1993, after more than 2 decades of violence and internal strife, a peace agreement was reached. Carmine Persico emerged as the victor, solidifying his position as the boss of the Colombo crime family. However, the victory came at a heavy cost. The war had left the Colombo crime family weakened and fractured. The loss of key members and constant infighting took a toll on the organization, disrupting criminal activities and diminishing their influence in the underworld. Despite their weakened state, the Colombo crime family continues to operate and engage in criminal activities. The Gambino crime family maintains operational factions across various regions, including Brooklyn, Staten Island, the Bronx, Long Island, and Florida. However, their operations have diminished significantly from their peak, and they face constant scrutiny from law enforcement. According to some sources, Little Robert Donofrio is currently the acting boss of the Colombo crime family. The family's current status as the weakest of the 5 families is indicative of the challenges they have encountered throughout their history. Number 5. The Gambino family exerts an enduring influence over the gritty streets of New York City. As one of the most notorious Italian-American mafia organizations, their formidable power echoes through the city's underworld, shaping its very fabric. The Gambino crime family traces its roots back to the early 1900s, when waves of Italian immigrants arrived in New York City, seeking a better life, but often finding themselves in poverty and facing discrimination. It was within these communities that the seeds of organized crime were sown, and the Gambino family emerged as a dominant force. In the criminal underworld, at the forefront of this rise to power was a man named Ignazio Lupo, also known as Lupo the Wolf. Lupo, a Sicilian-born mobster, arrived in New York City in the late 19th century and swiftly established himself as a formidable figure. He engaged in various criminal activities including extortion, illegal gambling, and bootlegging. Lupo's influence extended beyond the Italian-American community as he forged alliances with other criminal organizations, including the Irish-American gangs that controlled the waterfront. However, it was Salvatore D'Aquila who laid the foundation for what would eventually become the Gambino crime family. D'Aquila, a charismatic and ruthless mobster, rose to prominence in the early 1900s. He organized various Italian-American criminal groups into a unified force, effectively establishing the first incarnation of the Gambino family. Under D'Aquila's leadership, The family expanded its operations, engaging in activities such as loan sharking, labor racketeering, and illegal gambling. The 1920s marked a turning point for the Gambino family as it became embroiled in the infamous Castellamarese War. Amidst the chaos of this conflict, a young and ambitious mobster named Albert Anastasia began to make a name for himself. Known for his violent and ruthless nature, Anastasia quickly rose through the ranks of the Gambino family, becoming a trusted enforcer first for D'Aquila and later for Masseria, solidifying his position within the organization. The Castellamarese War came to a violent end in 1931, with the assassination of Maranzano paving the way for a new era of mafia leadership. It was during this time that Charles "Lucky" Luciano emerged as a key figure in the criminal underworld. However, the rise of the Gambino family faced a major setback in 1957 when Albert Anastasia was assassinated in a barbershop in New York City. This shocking act of violence reverberated through the criminal underworld and marked the end of an era. With Anastasia's death, a power vacuum emerged, and Carlo Gambino stepped in to fill the void. Known for his quiet and calculating demeanor, Carlo Gambino assumed leadership as the new boss of the family. Under his leadership, the Gambino crime family experienced unprecedented growth and prosperity. Gambino was a master strategist, forging alliances with other criminal organizations and expanding the family's influence far beyond New York City. Their territories extended into Long Island, New Jersey, Western Connecticut, and even as far as Baltimore, South Florida, Tampa, Atlanta, Los Angeles, and Sicily. This extensive network enabled them to engage in a wide range of illegal activities, including racketeering, extortion, fraud, drug trafficking, and prostitution. During this period, the Gambino family formed alliances with other criminal entities, further solidifying their position in the underworld. These partnerships provided the family with additional resources and protection, facilitating the expansion of their criminal enterprises and bolstering their dominance. However, the Gambino family's expansion and influence were not without challenges and rivalries. One of the most notable conflicts during this period was the rise of John Gotti, a charismatic and ambitious capo within the family. Gotti believed that the family had strayed from its traditional values and focused too much on white-collar crimes. He advocated for a more hands-on approach to criminal activities, including the traditional rackets of loan sharking and gambling. Gotti's tensions with the then-boss Paul Castellano eventually culminated in a shocking turn of events in 1985. Gotti orchestrated the murder of Castellano outside a steakhouse in Manhattan, sending shockwaves through the criminal underworld. This brazen act of violence solidified Gotti's position as the new boss of the Gambino family and marked a significant shift in its direction. Under Gotti's leadership, the Gambino family became even more notorious. His flamboyant lifestyle and ability to evade law enforcement earned him the nickname the Teflon Don. However, Gotti's reign would be short-lived. In 1992, Gotti's underboss Salvatore "Sammy the Bull" Gravano cooperated with the FBI and testified against him. Gotti was subsequently convicted of murder and racketeering, leading to his downfall. Thank you for watching this video on the history of the Gambino crime family. Despite the downfall of John Gotti, the Gambino family has persisted, adapting to challenges and maintaining its structure with bosses, underbosses, and consiglieres overseeing operations. Recent years have seen significant events, including the assassination of Frank Cali in 2019, which led to a period of transition within the family. Domenico Cefalu assumed the role of acting boss, illustrating the fluidity of leadership within the organization. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and click the bell icon to receive notifications for more content like this. You can also click on one of the boxes on your screen to watch related videos. Thank you again for watching, and we'll see you next time.